Welcome to another edition of the Texan Tom Show.
A show about the Dallas Cowboys by Dallas Cowboy fans.
For you, the true Cowboy fans. And I just have to say, and most of you will probably agree with me, even if you're not a Cowboy fan, right now the water tastes better, the air is crisper and cleaner, everything is just better, your next door neighbor is nicer to you, you probably haven't been honked as much, and road rage is probably down in the bigger cities of Texas. And I think it's just attributed to when the Cowboys are doing well, everything goes a little bit better. And I could be biased because I am a big Cowboy fan, but I believe that it truly affects the society.
Well, yes, it does. I mean, in many ways, yeah, the world is a more peaceful. Well, okay, I'm exaggerating. There's still war. For us Cowboy fans, it is a better place. The universe makes a lot more sense when the Cowboys are winning. And right now we're at 3-1 after beating the 49ers this past weekend. Of course, there are the people who are not as enlightened as we are, who are miserable right now. And I think I can safely speak for both of us when we say, too bad, so sad. Because nobody felt sorry for us last year when we were 4-12.
Nope, not a darn was given, or not anything, any kind of sympathy.
Excuse me.
Speaking of any kind of sympathy, I think you have a math problem you have to correct.
Well, when I was going to start graduate school, my area was going to be in history, not in math. And last week I said something about our defense, which is still not playing as well as I would like for them to be, but we're again 3-1 and could be 4-0. I refer to, sometimes it seems as though there's Sean Lee and 11 other guys out there. Again, not being a math major, I failed to remember that would be Sean Lee and 10 other guys because we're not playing in Canada. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Flag on the play. Was it too many? That was it.
No, it's just, it's a 15-yard penalty for supreme ignorance, and, let's all move forward now. But I think that I may be able to say, hopefully this time next year, that it's Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, and 9 other guys.
That would be good. That would be good. Did you see the little mix-up because Jalen Smith posted on there
Yeah.
good news, and everyone's like, "Oh, Ravens been healed." No, people, come on. See, that's one thing when the Cowboys are doing well is like they believe in miraculous healing right away. So, but hopefully next year it will be good. But getting back to this year, one thing that I've noticed that I think is mainly started by the haters is already, the talk has been, well, when Tony Romo comes back, are you going to bench him or keep Dak? Well, for one thing, let's not worry about that right now. We're, the 5th game?
This week will be the 5th game Cincinnati.
And as if I am correct, the Cowboys have never given a true timetable of when they expect him, but now they're saying that he may be ready to come back after the bye week, which would be on October 30th against the Philadelphia Eagles. But let's not worry about that until the bye week. But I did learn, and it's true because I brought this fact up last year. We didn't do the show last year, so I wasn't able to tell you 5 or 6 people. Well, actually, I think we had about 30 people view the show, so hopefully it gets more.
Cool, I didn't realize that.
I didn't get a chance to tell our show watchers that sweeps. You know what sweeps are?
Talking about sweepstakes, like when they,
Yeah, sweeps is when the radio stations, TV stations, they set the market on what they can charge for commercials.
Oh, okay.
And part of it is in March, which the NFL really doesn't get affected by it. There probably are some stories in March that are
March Madness thing, or whatever, I presume.
But in November is another sweeps month.
Okay.
So if you noticed, if you go back and think of all the juicy stories involving the Cowboys, all the gossip, it'll come up in November, and we'll have reporters come out of the woodworks saying the most obnoxious or most untrue stories to get the ratings, because that's when they can set their prices for what the stories that they charge. So that being said, our game against Philadelphia, where Tony Romo might come back, is October 30th. So I'm thinking some of those writers, reporters, and ESPN and all those stations like that will start probably even going more overboard, even though it's not November, kicking in to the next 2 days, which you have October 31st and then Tuesday, November 1st. So I think that it's just going to get crazy.
Well,
the more, especially if Dak keeps on winning.
You know, I think we talked a little bit about last week. I believe we talked a little bit about should there be a quarterback controversy, and I believe we both said no. Tony Romo should be the starter when he comes back, when he's healthy. Having said that, we haven't.
Now you hold on. I give you all the credit for being the numbers guy, and I'm more on go on feelings. But explain to these people that may not understand what gives Tony Romo the edge over Dak.
The experience.
What can experience do?
It can help guide you through times because you've been through some trials and tribulations. Maybe you've seen some defenses, you've seen some bizarre blitzes that a rookie, he can't learn them until he goes through them. But right now, if we are going to make a serious playoff run, and don't get me wrong, I said it in the show last week, and I believe that Dak is the future. But since we're talking about right now, as we come up on the latter part of the season, the tougher part of our schedule, I do think that a healthy Tony, would give us a better opportunity to go into Pittsburgh, go into Minnesota, places like that, and win. Dak is again, every week he just astounds me even more. But if we're going to try to make a playoff push this year, as the season wears on, I believe a healthy Tony gives us that better option.
Because when these good defenses come up and line up to stop the run, or they give you a false look, Tony Romo, with his experience, can check out of a run when he sees 8 or 9 in the box, where they're designed to stop the run, and he could check off to a pass play and have more success. And I truly believe that if we had a healthy Tony Romo, we would be 4-0. Because I believe that he tells the receivers, and I'm sure Dak might have said it or somebody might have said it, but I believe sometimes Tony wills our players to play their best, and I believe that when he hits Williams gets out of bounds, and then we get a chance to kick a field goal.
Well, having said all that, I do think that Dak is more. His maturity goes beyond his years. I'm not saying this in a cool way. His experience, his professionalism. I know there was talk when, I believe if I remember correctly, when we drafted him, about how he had very rarely, if ever, been up under center, and that was something that he was going to struggle with. Well, it seems like to me we've run a lot of shotgun offense anyway, and I got to give Scott Linehan a lot of credit. He has called these game plans to suit Dak's strengths, and and Dak, Dak has probably, I presume, earned their trust to where they've told Dak, okay, this is the play that's called, but if you see A or B, then we give you permission, and if we don't, if Dak is the guy I think he is anyway, very respectful, he's going to check out of it anyway, whether he's got permission or not, because he's believes he sees something that we can attack, or that gives us a better option for success.
Now, don't get me wrong, I am a Tony Romo fan. Well, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan first. I am a Tony Romo fan because he is quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. So if Dak truly shows something spectacular in these next 2 weeks, and then Tony comes back and struggles, I might be one of the ones saying, hey, well, maybe we should put Dak in there. But I don't think that'll happen, because you brought it up last week that Tony Romo, and a lot of people are going to laugh because they're ignorant. They followed like the lambs of slaughter. They followed I'm about to say liberal media, that's politics, but they followed the naysayers. I mean, everybody loves to have Tony Romo as their whipping boy. But if you look at the numbers, Tony Romo is a Hall of Fame type quarterback. Now, of course, if you had a ring, it would be even that much better. But without that ring, a lot of people won't acknowledge it. But just look at the stats. And stats don't lie. And I know people are going to say, well, you didn't get a Super Bowl. You didn't get a playoff. Well, there's a lot of people that didn't get a Super Bowl ring or haven't won that much in the playoffs. But you look at the ratings in the fourth quarter, the most comebacks. Somebody said that he had more comebacks than our Captain Comeback. So I am not saying that I'm going to back Tony Romo no matter what. Right now, from the stats that I've seen and the experience, when Tony Romo comes back, he needs to play. I know Terry Bradshaw, was one of the players that said that he would bench a healthy Romo in favor of Dak. But there was somebody else that I give a little bit more credit to because he's actually been a coach. You know, Terry Bradshaw is Hall of Fame quarterback for Super Bowl. That's great, but never really a coach. But there's a guy that some of y'all may know by the name of Jimmy Johnson that went on a show and said that when Tony Romo comes back, he needs to be the starter because of what he just said about being more mature, being able to call out of plays. What Tom just said. Oh, gotta be real particular. Gotta have his name thrown out there. What Tom said.
It's okay, Tex.
Anyway, so you're gonna hear more about that, but it doesn't really matter. The main thing is let's get it going forward and let's keep on winning. And if that's the one thing we gotta worry about is whether it's Dak or whether it's Tony, that's the best kind of thing to worry about rather than are we gonna win or are we gonna lose.
I'm through talking about that. I mean, I didn't even expect we would talk this much about it because to us, it's like as we've indicated, it's a non-issue. I want to talk about for a minute Ezekiel Elliott, leading the league in rushing. He every week just gets better and better. He's getting more and more comfortable being in the NFL. And as I said last week, maybe I'm hoping on this as much as anything. I think that ultimately he can have a similar impact for our team. Similar to what Emmitt Smith had back in his day. I think that
very true.
You've got to give credit to our offensive line. I mean, we've got guys dropping like flies out there, but we continue to have success. And now I have not been able to keep up this week as much as I would have liked. But you indicated that Tyron Smith had been he practiced today.
Tex.
I think Tex, didn't you indicate that
he didn't practice today? He didn't practice today. So, but the guy you were talking about, I think he got injured.
Chaz Green?
Chaz Green, I think he is injured, and then also
Lyle Collins. He's going to have surgery on that toe.
I think he already had it.
Okay,
so he's out, maybe indefinitely.
Well, I had forgotten that had cost some of our guys a season. I believe they said Sean Lee, at whatever point he injured his toe 3 or 4 years ago, cost him the rest of the season. I think that McClain, our defensive lineman, who's been playing well for us, heard it early in the season or late in preseason last year, and it cost him the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. All I know is we're winning, and I'm happy about it. I'm hopeful that this can continue. And we talked a little bit about DeMarcus Lawrence last week. Well, he's able to come back this week. Our defense has played again. I call them a sieve, and they do give up a lot of yards, but
bend, but don't break. And hopefully keep on going.
Kept us in the games. And I've got to ask a question. DeMarcus Lawrence, our pass rush, he can't help but improve it. But again, let's not think that he's going to be Charles Haley. But I've got to ask you a question, Big Tex. Who was out there wearing that number 24 jersey?
I don't know. I mean, it said a player that I'm familiar with, but it's like you know what it is though, don't you? I mean, I hate to say this, but most players do this. How many year contract did he sign?
I know.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sorry, but when do players play the best? It's when they're
contract
year contract.
Yeah.
And so he'll play really good, which will be lucky for us. And then he'll probably want more money than what we're willing to give him, and he'll go play for somebody else. But I just hope he can keep on going this year.
Well, and again, I felt so sorry for him the way the first few years of his career have gone because he's been inconsistent. He's been hurt a lot. I think I've mentioned to you, I remember watching a little bit of the combine back in 12. And Dion interviewed him, and I believe he was indicated that he was wanting the Cowboys to interview him, and so he could anyway, he wound up getting drafted by us. He was very happy, and it just hasn't worked out. But I would be afraid even if he goes to the Pro Bowl this year, I would be afraid to commit big money to him because of the history.
He was talking about the history of his work.
But thus far this year, he has been outstanding.
Hopefully, he'll keep it up.
That's right.
And hopefully, we'll be talking to you next week after another victory of those Bungles.
Well, they're going to be a tough matchup for us. We'll be honest. They're going to be a tough match, especially that I hate to say he's a stud because he doesn't play for the Cowboys, but A.J. Green, it's going to be tough for us.
We'll see. He's Tom. I'm Tex.
We're both usually called Mud, by the way.
That's another edition of the Texas Tom Show.
Good luck. God bless. Go Cowboys.